What if I told you one brave soldier made a choice so big, it changed an entire kingdom? Not because he wanted power. Not because he wanted gold. But because he wanted to do what was right. And by the end of this story, you'll have to decide, was he a bad guy who betrayed his king or a hero who stood up for others? Let's go back in time. There was once a powerful sultan, a king who ruled over a huge land filled with cities, villages, and people from all walks of life. His army was strong, and his enemies feared him. And standing right beside him was his most trusted warrior. This warrior wasn't born in a palace. He didn't grow up with riches or servants. He was just a normal boy once. But he worked hard. He trained every day. He learned how to fight, how to think fast, and how to protect others. Over time, he became the strongest soldier in the entire kingdom. He fought in many battles. He led armies into dangerous lands. And more than once he saved the Sultan's life. Because of this, the Sultan trusted him more than anyone else. He would say, "You are not just my soldier, you are like my right hand." And the warrior believed in the Sultan too. He was loyal. He followed every order. He believed he was fighting for something good. And for a long time, everything seemed perfect. The kingdom was growing stronger. The people were mostly safe. The army kept winning. But slowly things began to change. The Sultan started acting differently. At first, it was small things. He became more angry. He stopped listening to advice. He began to suspect people, even those who had always been loyal. Then it got worse. He started punishing people very harshly, even for small mistakes. If someone spoke against him, even politely, they could be thrown in prison or worse. The people in the kingdom started to feel afraid. Taxes became higher. Some families struggled to eat. Villages were punished for things they didn't even do. And the warrior? He saw all of this. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was close to the Sultan. He could see what was happening behind the scenes. At first, he tried to ignore it. He told himself, "This is my king. I must obey." But deep inside, something didn't feel right. He started asking himself questions. Is this fair? Are we still protecting people or hurting them? But those were dangerous thoughts. Because in that kingdom, questioning the Sultan was not allowed. So the warrior stayed silent. He continued to lead armies. He followed orders. He did his duty. But inside, his heart felt heavier every day. Then one day, something happened that changed everything. In a faraway village, people had become very poor. They were hungry, tired, and desperate. They had tried to ask for help, but no one listened. So finally, they spoke up. They protested. But the Sultan didn't see them as people who needed help. He saw them as troublemakers. And he gave a terrible order. "Send the army," he said. "Destroy the village. Show no mercy." The warrior was chosen to lead the attack. When he heard the order, he froze for a moment. This wasn't a battle against enemy soldiers. This was against ordinary people. But still he had always obeyed. So he gathered the army and marched toward the village. As they got closer, something felt different. There were no defenses. No soldiers waiting. Just small houses. When they entered the village, the warrior saw children hiding behind their parents. He saw old people sitting quietly, too weak to move. He saw families holding each other, scared of what was coming. These weren't enemies. These were innocent people. And in that moment, everything became clear. The warrior realized something important. If he followed this order, he would be hurting people who had done nothing wrong. And for the first time, he questioned his loyalty. Because what is loyalty worth if it means doing something wrong? The soldiers behind him waited. They were ready. All they needed was one command: attack. But the warrior didn't say it. He stood there silent. His mind was racing. If he refused, he could be killed. If he disobeyed, he would be called a traitor. But if he obeyed, he would have to live with what he had done. And then he made his decision. He lowered his sword. And he said, "We will not attack." The soldiers were shocked. No one had ever refused the Sultan before. This was something completely unthinkable. But the warrior didn't stop there. He turned to his army and said, "These people are not our enemies. We will not harm them." In that moment, he chose what he believed was right, even though it meant losing everything. And just like that, his life changed forever. The moment the Sultan heard about this, he was furious. "How dare he disobey me?" the Sultan shouted. "This is betrayal." The warrior, once the greatest hero of the kingdom, was now its greatest enemy. Orders were sent across the land. Find him. Capture him. Punish him. The warrior had no choice. He had to run. But something unexpected happened. People began to support him. Villagers who had suffered under the Sultan's rule came to him. They said, "You did what no one else dared to do." Some soldiers even left the Sultan's army to join him, because they, too, had seen the unfairness, the suffering. And now they believed in something else. They believed in justice. What started as one man's choice became something much bigger. A movement. The warrior was no longer just a soldier. He became a leader. But this also meant one thing. A battle was coming. The Sultan gathered a huge army. Stronger. Bigger. More powerful. He wanted to crush the rebellion once and for all. He wanted to prove that no one could stand against him. On the other side, the warrior stood with his people. They didn't have as many weapons. They weren't as well trained. But they had something stronger. They believed in what they were fighting for. And sometimes, belief is more powerful than fear. When the two armies finally met, the air was heavy. Everyone knew this was the final moment. The Sultan looked at the warrior and saw betrayal. The warrior looked at the Sultan and saw injustice. And then, the battle began. It was fierce, loud, full of chaos. Swords clashed. Soldiers shouted. Dust filled the air. But this wasn't just a fight between two armies. It was a fight between two ideas. Power and justice. Fear and courage. Now here's something interesting. No one agrees on how this story ends. Some say the warrior lost. That he was captured and punished for betraying the Sultan. Others say he won. That he defeated the Sultan and changed the kingdom forever. But maybe the ending isn't the most important part. Because what truly matters is the choice he made. He showed that even one person can stand up against something wrong. Even when it's dangerous. Even when it's scary. So now, think about this. Was he a traitor? He did break his promise to the Sultan. He did go against his king. But he also saved innocent people. He stood up for what was right. And sometimes, doing the right thing doesn't look easy. It doesn't look safe. But it matters. And maybe that's why people still talk about stories like this. Because they remind us of something important. That courage isn't about never being afraid. It's about doing the right thing even when you are. So if you were in his place, what would you have done? In the end, this story teaches us that standing up for what is right can change everything, even if it costs you everything. If you enjoyed this story, check out the next video on your screen, it's just as powerful. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more amazing stories like this.